Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and now, very exciting, on Instagram, Movies TV Mad X. Smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. Well. Where are we with DC film and television right now? Well, next star own the CW. Arrowverse is dead, and who knows if we even get the greenlit fourth season of Superman and Lois. That's where we are with that. Where are we with the DCEU? We're about to experience the final DCEU movie, if you believe everything you hear and they say. In December, the final DCEU movie, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The final DCEU movie. And we're entering the brave new world of James Gunn's DC Universe. Oh, James, where are you? Where are you, James? Aren't you going to promote and shill Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? No, he's not. Nor is the studio. Have you seen him promote it on Instagram? No. Have you seen him promote it on Threads? No. Have you seen him promote it on Twitter? No. Absolutely disgusting. Or is it a good thing for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom that he's not promoting it? Because he promoted the other four movies. Actually, he didn't ever promote Black Adam. That was when he just arrived at DC Studios, or maybe even just before he arrived at DC Studios. I can't remember. But the other movies, the other three movies, is it? He promoted and they failed. How did he promote Shazam! Fury of the Gods? Well, he lied and said it was a good film. How did he promote the Flash movie? He said it was the best film, one of the best CBMs he ever saw. He lied. His boss, Zaslav, said it was the best CBM he ever saw. Blue Beetle. He said it was a brilliant movie. It's not a DCU movie, but it's the first DC Universe character. Guess what, James? That character was made for the brand new Hamadaverse in the DCEU. That actor was never cast for your universe. But you seem to want to gobble up some things and get rid of others. But it is interesting. James Gunn's gone very, very quiet. Last night, I had the opportunity to re-watch Batgirl. Yes, I've seen it before. This is a movie that was shelved. James Gunn approves of this shelving. Peter Safran said that Zaslav was very brave to shelve this movie. Let me tell you, Leslie Grace is an excellent Barbara Gordon. Brilliant. Keaton is amazing in this film. He's in about 20 minutes of the film. That's a lot, by the way. In fact, that might be more than he was in The Flash. He's actually better in Batgirl than he is in the Flash movie, believe it or not. David Zaslav said that he was protecting the integrity of DC, the DC brand, when he shelved Batgirl. But this is a great movie. Brendan Fraser is a great villain. Actually, this movie could have easily been shown in cinemas. These people are liars. And shelving Batgirl was disgusting, because Batgirl is a better movie than Shazam! Fury of the Gods, the Flash movie, and Blue Beetle put together. Why aren't they promoting Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? Is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom such a terrible movie that they don't want to be anywhere near it? No. So what's happened? James Gunn and David Zaslav, I don't think Safran, because Safran and Wan have got a little bit of a good relationship because they worked together for the first Aquaman movie and everything was perfectly fine then. Because people have told me that and I know that. James is a very amenable director, James Wan. But don't fuck with his movie. And I think he's been so beautifully direct and honest in the interview he gave about the movie and all these ongoing situations. I think we know you don't mess with James Wan's movie. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is James Wan's movie. It is not James Gunn's movie. Yeah, you can make some suggestions, he said. But at the end of the day, it's my movie. And at the end of the day, my movie has nothing to do with those other movies. Because he doesn't want to be associated with those other shitty movies. Because Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Blue Beetle and the Flash movie are shitty movies that no one should want their names attached to them. But when you're a slave director like Andy Muschietti, or the guy who did Blue Beetle, or what's the other film? Shazam! Fury of the Gods, David F. Sandberg, they're slave directors. They're just there. They like being directors, but they don't mind not having any creative freedom. They are not auteurs. These are the kind of directors that have been mutated in this era of IPs and cinematic universes. We never used to have directors who didn't care about what they were making. When you're a television show director on somebody else's show, you've still got to care about what you're doing. You've got to look at the script. You've got to really make sure that you're on board with what's going on in a TV show. So the kind of director you are is very, very important. So we have an uncomfortable, ugly situation. James Gunn coming on board was supposed to clean this mess up. As I've said before, you know, he's making the situation worse. But people are asking questions. James, why aren't you promoting this movie? Well, I think there's a reason for that, because he's been scared off by James Wan. I think he's been told, keep away from my fucking movie. I will promote it. I will do the talking. Leave my movie alone. Now, I don't want you to lie that Stephen King likes my movie. I don't want you to lie that you like my movie. I don't want David Zaslav to say it's the best film he's ever bloody well seen. Leave my movie alone. Let me explain to you about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. It looks like a movie with bright colours, which it is, but it's a second movie. It's a Dark Knight. It's basically a Wrath of Khan movie. Yes, when he says it sets up a third Aquaman movie, there's a reason for it, because something very compelling and devastating happens in this movie. I'm not going to leak it. I'm not going to say anything else. This is a Wrath of Khan movie. It may not look like it. It may look like a lot of fun, and there's some darkness. You can see that Manta really wants to do pain to Aquaman. And what you understand from this villain, he's a very good DCEU villain. Again, he's up there with Orm and Zod, even Lex Luthor I like. There's been some great villains in the DC Extended Universe, and Black Manta is a very good villain. He was very good with the limited screen time he had in the first movie. So make no mistake, there was no one walking out of test screenings. That was a lie. Why? They don't want this movie to be successful, everyone. That's why I'm trying to educate you Snyderverse stans. Stop hating this movie. It's not part of what James Gunn wants to do. He doesn't want this movie to succeed. You should be championing this movie. You don't get it. Forget about Amber Heard. You people need to start listening to me, because it's me with my ear on the ground. I've told you 1 billion times, don't worry about how many subscribers I've got or how many likes I get. I know what I'm talking about. Nobody listens to me because I'm direct and straight and loud. And that's okay. But you're the ones who are paying attention to the wrong people. You see an Amber Heard hate video? Ignore it. They're talking about Amber Heard? Ignore it. That's the fandom menace. Let them get on with it. Don't care. The Snyderverse stans, you need to start paying attention, because I know what you want. We want the same thing, brother. And James Wan and James Gunn are not on the same page. He came into DC Studios. It was a studio that formed when he came to WB. James Gunn is DC Studios. Basically, him and Safran are the only people there. And there doesn't seem to be much going on. Even before the strikes, people are using the strikes as an excuse. So we are in a very interesting environment, because what happens if Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom surprises the world and is actually a good film? Well, I know it's a good film, but you don't. What if this movie, by some miracle, makes a lot of money? I understand that the value of the CBM has gone down. That people are bored of reboots and CBMs and IPs and Star Wars and Marvel. Because first of all, a lot of them are not made the way they should be, and they're all the same. And people are bored. I understand. So Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom already has an uphill struggle because of these things. Plus the Amber Heard situation and the divide within the DC fandom, it's very difficult for this movie to be successful. But what I know is that this is a good movie. What I know is that Batgirl was a perfectly good movie. And better than the other movies, they didn't shelve. Why did they shelve Batgirl and not the others? It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you watch this movie, you will get a lot out of it. A lot out of it. Why did they shelve it? You'll be surprised how good Leslie Grace is. Now, I'm not really a supporter of, changing the colour of a character from the comics, but I have to digress and be honest. Leslie Grace is a great young girl, great artist, and she did a really fine job. The directors really did something here. It was great. Her interactions with Gordon and Bruce Wayne. Grace and Keaton are great together. They really are. And Fraser, as I say, is a great villain. Why did you shelve this movie? Why did you shelve it? Now that I've seen it a couple of times, because my attitude was different. Before I didn't care. So before you bring me up on that. But now seeing this movie a couple of times, and it's interesting, I saw a trailer for the movie before I got my second viewing last night. And it really hyped me up for the movie. It's a really good movie. A movie we didn't get to see. As the director said, it's the audience who should make their minds up. But they treated us like transient officials. They treated us like little babies that couldn't see this terrible movie when it wasn't a terrible movie. It's a better movie than what they released. So we've got James Gunn and David Zaslav lying about the quality of movies, telling us that Shazam! Fury of the Gods is a great movie, The Flash is the best CBM they've ever seen, Blue Beetle is a really cool movie, right? They told us that, but they weren't. They weren't good movies, that's why they didn't make money. Could it be that Batgirl would have made more money than Shazam! Fury of the Gods, The Flash movie, and Blue Beetle put together? I think so. This movie was of the quality to release in cinemas. But even if they just released it on Max, look, the idea of making movies, CBMs, DC movies for Max was ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it would be a good service. I'd pay for that service to have a movie like Batgirl on there. If Blue Beetle actually was a good movie, that would have been cool too. It's interesting that Blue Beetle is actually a quite middling movie and Batgirl is a lot better. People would have liked Batgirl, but you don't get to see this movie. I don't understand why this movie can't be released on Max and on physical media. It's there, it's ready, it's very good, but here's the problem. It's a bit like the Snyder Cut, everyone. The Snyder Cut, Warner Brothers Pictures, that regime didn't want us to see the fucking, gargantuan mistake they made by not allowing Zack Snyder to make his, or, let us see Zack Snyder's Justice League. They didn't want us to see that mistake, and it's the same with Batgirl. If we see Batgirl, we're going to know that maybe, just maybe, Hamada may have been onto something. Now, in terms of Blue Beetle, that wasn't great, right? But Batgirl was certainly a much better film than Blue Beetle. And here's another problem. They've cut Leslie Grace out of the franchise. Leslie Grace will never, ever be in another DC movie. She was taken from you and from me. We didn't get to decide if Leslie Grace is good enough to be in the DC universe, that these two directors, whose names escape me, were good enough to make DC movies. James Gunn lied to you. He got rid of Henry Cavill and told you he will play a part in the new universe. He lied. He said that he's spoken to Sasha Calle, or Sasha Calle said that she's spoken to them. about keep on playing, to continue playing Supergirl. They probably told her to say that. It's probably a lie. Apparently, they've been talking to everyone from the old regime of the DCEU. Where are the plans? Where are they going to turn up? If you're lucky, they're cameo as fucking cab drivers. So don't you think any of that is true? You're being lied to. And what's very disturbing about this whole James Gunn thing, that nothing, there may not even be a foundation of plans. He hurried and gave Zaslav a Superman script. He wrote that script very, very quickly. And for me, he wrote that script too quickly. I've been working on a Superman trilogy for some time. And, this is for my own amusement, and I keep on rewriting it. What's it about, Mick? I know you don't really want to know, I'll tell you. Basically, this is a trilogy. In the first film, it's about Kal-El, the last son of Krypton. The second film is about Val-Zod, because that's a darker story, and I want that kind of Wrath of Khan situation, as we were talking about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And the final one is President Superman. And in the final scene, Kal-El, Val-Zod, President Superman stand together as the multiverse erupts, and they're going to stand together to protect it. Now, I think that's a trilogy that people may want to see. A white Superman and two black Supermen standing together. Not one instead of the other, like Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams wanted to do, but black and white Supermen standing together. That sounds like an ace trilogy to me. That is what representation and inclusion should be about. And it's what woke Hollywood don't want you to have. We should be having white people, Asian people, Indian people, all standing together. Not minorities replacing white people, because white people have dominated the medium of the world and entertainment for so long. It's not about revenge, it's about equality. Replacing minorities with, basically taking straight white males away and putting minorities in those roles isn't equality. It's revenge. And that's the problem with woke Hollywood. That's the problem with the extreme left. They're looking for revenge. They want a war. We're looking for equality and great entertainment. And that's why Hollywood is on its knees. But back to DC. Do you trust there's a great future under James Gunn? Now, come on, be honest. I know some of you go at me and say, you've got an agenda against James Gunn. Let's be absolutely clear here for people who don't understand what I'm saying. If you've been following me since July 2018, you know my passion for DC and film, entertainment and television. You know I don't like my DC damaged. I care about DC. And I've enjoyed the epicness of the Snyderverse movies and James Wan's first Aquaman. And his second Aquaman looked good on the test screening. Now, so I've enjoyed a majority of the DCEU. But I care about DC. If you want to see more Shazam Fury of the Gods or Blue Beetle, then follow the James Gunn universe of gags, bright colours, but nothing more. If that's what you want, do you trust him? Do you trust him to deliver you the DC universe that you deserve, that you've been dreaming about since a young person? Do you trust him? Well, I'll be honest. I like James Gunn. I don't know him, but I like him as a creative. We've spoken about my feelings of the Guardians trilogy, which I like, and Peacemaker and Suicide Squad. That's what he's good at. He's a one-trick pony. That's not me putting him down. He's a one-trick pony. What has he done to prove to you that he can do anything but groups of people, right? What has he done? What has he done to prove to you that he can do anything different? That he can write and direct a Superman movie efficiently? Man of Steel was a great contemporary Superman movie for this age. Not for 1978, for this age. And it hurts when you're pushed, kicking and screaming, into the modern era, when you loved something else. I loved Superman the movie, I still do. It's the first film, my first introduction to Superman I ever got. But it doesn't mean I want every damn Superman movie or TV show to be like that. I love Smallville. It doesn't mean I want every Superman TV show to be like Smallville. And it's interesting. What WB did to Snyder, they did to Our Miles, the creators of Smallville. They drove them out, and once they drove them out, the animals took over the zoo, and Smallville wasn't the great show it once was. Well, guess what? They drove out Snyder. The animals took over the zoo, and it was no longer the epic, beautiful franchise that Snyder was building. Isn't it interesting? In 1978, Dick Donner gave us a great Superman movie, and then basically the Salkinds drove him out. And we didn't get what we were going to get. We were going to get 4 or 5 Superman, 1 Supergirl movie from Donner. We were going to get all that stuff from Donner. Donner's the guy who trained up Jeff Johns and Kevin Feige. We didn't get that. History keeps on repeating itself with WB and DC, no matter who runs it. So there's a DNA at Warner Brothers and DC that's ill-fated or something. Because every time we get something good, it gets taken away from us. Donner was going to give us all those great Superman movies, a Supergirl movie, and maybe even a Batman and a Superman movie. A franchise. Donner was planning a DC franchise even then. And they took it away from him. Snyder was planning the same thing. They took it away from him. Gotham Miller would have ended Smallville the right way. It ended the wrong way because they weren't there. The Snyderverse. Snyder was taken away from us. We lost. We keep on losing. That's why fans are fighting. Because they've had enough. How much bad behaviour can we put up with and accept? And do you know the most dangerous people are the people in our fandom? The collaborators who say they like everything. That James Gunn is the most wonderful person ever. And they ignore the historical tweets. I've tried to put the historical tweets to one side. I say live and let live. I've made mistakes, you've made mistakes. We do good and bad things all the time. I'm happy to live and let live. Who am I? Who am I, a flawed man, to judge somebody else? But when it comes to his work on DC, I have to ask questions, even though I like his Suicide Squad movie and his Peacemaker series, right? And he should have that corner. He shouldn't be running DC, but that Suicide Squad corner, he should definitely have. While Reeves has his corner and Phillips has his corner. And Snyder deserves his corner as well. That's what DC should be. It should be different corners. Why? It's common sense. That's why. That's why we should be getting that. And listen to me. You need to start paying attention. James Wan's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom isn't your enemy. You need to back that movie. Because if you do not, Jason Momoa will never play Aquaman again. And Jason Momoa really wants to. Forget what he says publicly. See, Jason Momoa is a great lad. He was the one with Ray Fisher at conventions feeding information about Joss Whedon and helping to release the Snyder Cut campaign. Very good guy. But he also plays the game. He plays the studio game. He sells his movies. I had someone criticising him from a rumour that he wanted Amber Heard sacked from the movie so Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom could get released, and people were saying that's disgusting. It's not disgusting. Him and James worked really, really hard on that movie. And all they wanted was to remove a problematic person who abused their partner and stitched him up for abuse and got him fired from the industry. Jason Momoa is a good man. He's a good father. And he's a good pro. And he's good at what he does. No, he's not William fucking Shakespeare, but we all love him. He's lovable and he's lovable in what he does, right? And James Wan's a great director. They deserve for you to give this movie a chance. And for you not to keep on crying, oh Snyder, oh Henry Cavill, boycott, 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 Amber Heard, boycott, boycott, boycott. Let's all make fun of a movie before we bloody well see it. That movie deserves a chance. Why? Prejudge something. Give it a chance. As I keep on saying to you, you haven't seen this movie. Wouldn't it be amazing if we wiped the smiles off of Guns and Safran's and Zaslav's face, and all the James Gunn butt kissers. This movie makes record-breaking money. It's unlikely, but it's up to us at the end of the day. We can make it happen. And I want it to happen, because this movie isn't the same as the other movie. It's not having the Gunn and Safran and Zaslav loving. They're having nothing to do with this movie. Partially because Wan has told them to keep away. Because James Wan doesn't mess around. James Wan has to put so much energy into the first Aquaman movie and the second Aquaman movie. That's why he said in his interview, I need a break. I don't know about Aquaman 3 right now. I need a break. Imagine, you've seen the largeness of the first one. You've seen the trailer. And it looks amazing. I'm excited for you to see this movie. I want you to see this movie, but I want you to understand that the people running DC and WB are rotten to the core and shouldn't be in their positions. They're incompetent. We need good leadership at Warner Brothers. I won't even muddy my name with the name Discovery anymore. Discovery shouldn't be part of this great historical studio that was created by brothers who loved film, loved entertainment. Look at the history of Warner Brothers. Look at the great movies they've made. Look at the great DC movies they've made. We have to start letting them know that we are in control. When we want a film to flop, it will flop. But I'm telling you, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is the wrong film to boycott. We can win. We can change everything if this movie succeeds. Do you like James Wan? Do you think he would be good at making DC movies in general? Yes, you do. Do you want to see Jason Momoa keep on playing Arthur Curry? Because I do. I don't want the DCEU to end. I don't want good movies to end. I want large movies. James Gunn isn't going to give you large movies. He's going to give you cheap and cheerful shit. That's what he's going to give you. Giggles, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You're not going to get anything. I know there's people, right, who want his Superman film because it's going to be cutesy, it's going to be like the comics, but you'll watch it once and you won't want to watch it again. Because that's modern day entertainment. I've gone back and watched the first Guardians a lot. It's fun, it tickles me where it needs to be tickled, but I haven't gone back to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Yes, I like it, it's perfectly fine. But I haven't gone back to watch it repeatedly. I won't go back to watch the third one as much as I like it repeatedly. The first one's a classic, the other two are not. Right? So, is that what you want? You have to ask yourselves, as DC fans, forget the Snyder fans, forget what people say on the internet. Ask yourself, what do you want from DC? Cutesy movies with bright colours that don't do anything for you apart from the first time you see it. Look at Man of Steel. It embodies a modern day Superman movie. It looks good, it's got great themes. And it's a precautionary tale about the environment as well. And if you don't want to see that, you don't have to see it. You can see a great epic Superman movie. Batman versus Superman, right, tries to please the critics in a way. So Man of Steel, people said that Zack Snyder had too much destruction and action in his movie. So Zack Snyder gave us less action and more dialogue and more storytelling in Batman vs Superman. Were the critics pleased? No. The Snyder Cut does the same thing. It's got great action, but within 4 hours, it doesn't have as much action as Man of Steel did. He tried to please the critics and give them story. Now, the critics actually really liked the Snyder Cut. And we know the nephew of the guy who created Darkseid was very pleased with Zack because Darkseid is absolutely outstanding. In the Snyder Cut, we've driven away a man who was giving us great DC. But we have an opportunity here with James Wan to keep James Wan. Because right now I don't want James Gunn running DC. And I do have a choice in the matter. You have a choice in the matter because nothing's been decided yet. The other DCEU movies have failed. But here's the thing. We've got the sequel to the most successful DCEU movie in the history, the short history of that franchise. It made $1 billion. Lots of money. This movie can do that as well. As I say, CBMs have lost their value. But this is, listen, let me assure you, this is a different type of CBM. There is fun in it. There are gags, but it's also very dark in places. And it's a tearjerker, it's a heartbreaker. You're going to like this movie. And I don't care that Amber Heard's role was reduced. It's irrelevant to me. This isn't the Mira movie. Mira's just a supporting character, right? One day we can cast a great Mira. James Wan can recast that role. If this movie's successful and you allow him to have a say in the future of DC. Because let me be absolutely clear to you. It's always the consumer that makes the final decision. It's about how many people and how much money. That's all that matters. And right now, Hollywood is on its knees. Let me ask you one final question. Who would you rather be running DC and in control of these movies and making these movies? James Gunn or James Wan? See you again soon.